Okay, let's take about another minute and a half, 2 minutes. You guys have been spotting a lot of things. What about Model 1? Do you guys like it? Good? What works well in Model 1? What's good about Model 1? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Model 1. Sorry. But yes, I do like. That's why it's good. Good model. What do you guys think about these answers? What works well? What doesn't work well? Just look at them and see. Here's Model 1, and the next page is 2 and 3. There's some differences. See how you would rank. Okay, let's get back. I've heard a lot of good answers. You guys done a fantastic job. All right. We don't have time to go through everything. There's a lot to say, but a few things. First, let's do fingers. 1, 2, or 3. Which one was the best one in your opinion? Best one. 1, 2, or 3? I have 2 here, 3. I have 1 over here, 1 over here. Okay, good. I like that diversity. Okay, so let's choose first number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Group number 5. What do you believe? What makes paragraph 1 good? Do you have a mic? Oh, here's a mic coming. Now, all of these do something well. All of them do something well. Oh, I'm sorry, here. So what do you like about model answer 1?
So for model number 1 is, according to us, is easily to understand because it's visually divided to several paragraphs, and each paragraph first talk about from the point of view of male chart, and then the third paragraph talk about from the women, male, and ends up with the summary. Okay.
Very good. So first, you made a very good point. Look how it's laid out. Compare model answer 1 to 2 and 3. Visually, it's easy to read. You talked about the vocabulary, if I'm not mistaken. The topic, okay, and it sums it up at the very end. Okay, very good answer. Number 2. Who said number 2? What do you like about number 2? I'll give you my mic. I'll take it. There you go.
It's more well packed. I mean, in one paragraph, you can explain so many things, so many sides.
It's concise.
Yeah, it's concise.
One paragraph, and it gives a lot of information. Okay. How about model answer 3? I think, who had 3? Did anyone think 3 was the best one? Go ahead. What do you like about 3? What works?
I think this paragraph number, the model number 3 is simpler maybe, and it's also divided between male and female.
Okay, so how it's divided, and it's simple to read. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, let's do this together. Some of the questions. What does each paragraph do well? So we had a discussion what 1, 2, and 3 do well. What could be done better? Let's look at model answer 1. What can be done better? Or what's wrong with model 1? How about we say that? Some of you guys caught it. Does that what's wrong with model 1? Yes. I'll give you, thank you. What did you catch?
Yeah, the data is like I don't know the wrong is in the written here or in the graph because it's like twist between the data.
Yeah. The data is reported incorrectly. Take a look at it again. It's well written. Number one is very well written, but it's reporting the data incorrectly. Good. What about model answer 2? What can be fixed? What can be better? What's wrong with model answer 2? How about group number 7? Do you have anything 7? Oh, you guys are 7, right? 8, I'm sorry.
I think that there are a lot of run-on sentences, a lot of grammar mistakes here in model answer 2, which makes it kind of difficult to understand.
Yeah, the language. We like the language on the first one. I like the language on the first one, but the second one has problems with its language. It's a little bit difficult to read. Also, the organization. The group before mentioned model answer 1 that they liked how it was broken up. It's easy to read. But model answer 2 is not really that easy to read. Now, model answer 3, what works or what needs to be improved? How about what needs to be improved? Can we have group 4, or have I gone to 4 yet? 4, go ahead.
What I think that should be done better is the organization. So it should be their thesis statement or the topic of each paragraph and the division. But it is mentioned the data correctly.
Good. So the presentation, model answer 3 does a lot of things well. The data, while not perfect, is a lot better reported than the other 2. But the problem is the organization. You mentioned maybe a thesis statement, a stronger statement. Good. So when you report your data, these are some of the concerns that you want to think about how you report your data, what words you use when you report the data. We're going to move on to the next exercise. And thank you for your participation as well.
All right, so transitioning on from there, so just thinking about the strengths of reporting data kind of as a whole paragraph and thinking about it in that way, we're going to focus more on just the language used. And by doing that, we're specifically going to be focusing on reporting verbs eventually. But for us to get there, we're going to start with maybe a more accessible topic or part of speech, adjectives. So for example, when I'm coming to class at Andalas University and I go into my English class and I ask my students something like, how are you doing? And they say something like good or okay or fine. And that changes the meaning, as we all know. So how you describe how you're feeling, for example, or even up here, the slide example. So you're talking about last night's dinner. So last night's dinner, maybe I had some nasi goreng, or whatever the example may be. So up here it's saying tonight's dinner was good. So it's a way of describing how or what you ate as being good. But there's a lot of other descriptive adjectives in the language to say the same thing as good, but with more emphasis. So what are some other ways within the audience? What are your guys' ideas for other ways to describe food with positive adjectives? Maybe just call them out if everyone doesn't have a microphone. So what are some? Good? Yeah, besides good. So good positive adjectives to describe food, for example. Tasty, yay. So I heard a tasty. What else? Delicious, yes, specifically related to food. Yep. What else? Yummy, okay, good one. Yeah, that might be the sound you make, right? What else? Heavenly, that's a good one. So we've got some examples for you. I heard a few of them. I don't have yum up on my list. So tasty being one of the ones. And then going maybe more, if we're talking about, actually this is degree of strength. So maybe if you're saying something's good, and even better than good, you might describe it as being tasty. And then even better than tasty might be savory. So thinking about the different ways you describe your food, and then thinking of the language you use to report it, that can really change the meaning or add emphasis to how you're reporting. In this case, we're not reporting data just about how your meal was, but this is hopefully a good transition. And then better than good, great. We know that as the comparative adjective. And then scrumptious. No one said scrumptious. So maybe if I was talking about nasi goreng, I might not call it scrumptious. But if I was talking about cake, for example, I'm thinking cake, yeah. Cake could be described as scrumptious. So even better than good, better than great, like, yeah, scrumptious. Delicious. So a little bit related also to scrumptious. So the sense in the language, you could describe nasi goreng as delicious and cake as delicious, but maybe scrumptious I would only use with cake and nasi goreng. So this is something as a native speaker, I have sort of the intuition and sort of the feel in the language of what I would use to describe these things. And as non-native speakers, it might be a little bit more challenging, even if you're at an advanced level in the language, to have like that intuition of what sounds good and what works with what and what you're describing. So, and then amazing, you can describe something as being amazing for food as well. And the final, like succulent. So my sense of succulent would be to describe like meat or something like that. So in Padang, like rendang is succulent. I don't know. I'm sure it's related to other things. It could be describing like moist cake as being succulent as well. So just thinking about the language that we choose to describe it. So in this case, we're just talking about adjectives. But what I'll have you guys be working with today is the reporting verbs. So down below, so if you're using something like the author suggests and then suggests his or her findings, these are some reporting verbs you could use to describe the author suggests something. So the author suggests global warming is a real phenomenon. And then to describe that same statement in a weaker position, the author alleges global warming is a real phenomenon. And then you could go to the more neutral. So neutral advises, advocates, suggests again. And then for strong, asserts. So the greater degree of certainty. So just as with adjectives, we're going from maybe less to stronger, the same can be said with reporting verbs, going from like a weaker or a neutral, where you're being more in the middle of how you report something, or having a stronger position, and I would say even a voice and identity as you're reporting the data as well. So we're going to have some practice with that. So if you guys all turn in your packets to handout 1, the first step in that will be to look at the 2 paragraphs that are there. They're not labeled, but at the bottom of the page, there are 2 paragraphs. Paragraph 1 and paragraph 2, and what I want you to do is to read over, skim over those paragraphs, and just be underlining for the reporting verbs that are used there. So for handout 1, handout 2. I didn't have it in front of me. So underline the reporting verbs in the discussion. Why does foreign language anxiety arise in public speaking? And then there's the 2 paragraphs. So finding the reporting verbs and just underlining them. So I'll give you a couple minutes to work on that. Okay. So within handout 2, there's some graph from the model, the previous model, that should not be in there. So for model answer 2 and model answer 3 on the next page, ignore that. And then you're going to jump to the page after that. There's no heading, But then it has the directions. Look at the reporting verb table, see below. And then for the handout 2, it has the reporting verbs. So it sort of gives you the answers from there.